Hey there, Focus Learners. Welcome back to The Explainer. I'm absolutely thrilled you're tuning in today because, honestly, we're tackling something that could literally flip your daily routine on its head. Today, we're going to completely shatter a deeply ingrained societal illusion. It's an illusion that, let's be real, almost all of us grew up believing. And that's the idea that simply working long, grueling hours automatically equals wealth. Nope. Today, we're breaking down exactly how to become a millionaire by working smart, not hard, using the actual facts, systems, and strategies that wealthy people use. So think about this for a second. Are the hardest workers actually the richest? It's kind of a shocking reality check when you stop and ponder it. Right now, across the globe, millions of people are working 12-hour days. They're sweating, they're stressed to the max, they're exhausted, and yet they're barely scraping by. Consider that the average person works over 90,000 hours in their lifetime, but median global wealth remains just a tiny fraction of what you'd expect from all that sheer physical effort. But then, on the flip side, someone else working just a few highly focused hours a day becomes a millionaire. Why is that? What do they know that the 12-hour day grinder doesn't? Well, that massive gap in results is exactly what we're going to uncover today.
Okay, let's dive into this with Section 1, the hard work myth.
Before we can really grasp how to work smart, we have to completely unlearn this massive myth society has basically spoon-fed us since day one. I mean, when you want more money, what are you usually told to do? Work harder, right? Put in longer hours. Grab that overtime shift. Just trade more of your precious time for a little extra cash. But the reality for the wealthy is entirely different. Wealthy folks understand this one fundamental, unbreakable rule. Money simply does not care how many hours you work. It doesn't punch a time clock. Instead, money follows value. It follows systems, leverage, and ownership. If you're only focused on working harder, you're always going to be capped by the 24 hours in a day. So to cross over from that societal myth to the wealthy reality, we need an immediate, absolute paradigm shift in how we think about income generation.
Which brings us to Section 2, solving expensive problems.
Now, what's really interesting about this is how you actually make that mental shift. You've got to remember this. Millionaires don't chase money. They solve expensive problems. Honestly, if you take absolutely nothing else away from this explainer today, remember this core rule. More value directly equals more income. When you're just chasing money, you're usually trading your physical time for a flat hourly rate. But when you spot a massive, expensive problem that people or businesses are struggling with and you create a solution for it, your income gets tied to the value of that solution, not the hours you spent brainstorming it. The bigger the problem you solve, the more you get paid. It really is that elegantly simple. So if solving expensive problems is the goal, how do we actually pull that off without, working ourselves into the ground?
Let's explore that in Section 3, building systems and leverage.
This is where we get into the actual mechanics of smart work. It's all about building assets that keep earning for you rather than you grinding out every single hour yourself. Let's look at how this plays out across 3 different roles. First up, the business owner. Their primary form of leverage is other people's time. The result? They build teams that grow and scale the business, whether the owner is sitting in the office or on a beach somewhere. Next, we have the investor. Their leverage is money itself. So they let their money do the heavy lifting, generating returns totally in the background. And finally, the creator. Their leverage is content or digital products, meaning their creations are out there selling while they're literally fast asleep. Notice the common thread here? Not a single one of these results relies on the person being awake, present, and actively working at a desk. That, my friends, is the absolute magic of leverage.
Now, maybe you're sitting there thinking, well, that's great, but I don't have a team, and I definitely don't have a ton of cash to invest yet. And you know what? That is perfectly fine. We are living in the greatest era for individual leverage in human history. By tapping into specific technologies like AI, automation, software, and e-commerce, you're getting massive leverage. Just by setting up automated software or using AI tools, one single person literally sitting on their couch can do the work of hundreds of people. And the best part? Code and algorithms don't ask for coffee breaks. They don't demand overtime pay. You're basically using technology as your very own tireless workforce.
Let's move along and see how this builds into a really practical, repeatable roadmap. Think of it as the millionaire's wealth staircase. Step 1, your skills create your initial income. You learn how to solve a problem. Step 2, you take that income and instead of just blowing it on things that lose value, you use it to create investments. And step 3, those investments, whether they're in businesses, systems, or the stock market, are what actually create your wealth. So you're constantly feeding this loop. You upgrade your skills, which bumps up your income, which increases your investments, and ultimately builds true wealth. But let's take these abstract concepts and ground them in a concrete, real-world comparison. Because it's one thing to just talk about steps, right? It's another to see how it actually plays out in real life over time.
So let's look at Section 4, a tale of 2 workers.
Let's meet our two workers. We'll call them Gary the Grinder and System Builder Sarah. Now, Gary is totally operating under that old societal myth we talked about. He just puts his head down and grinds for 12 hours every single day. It is an exhausting, non-stop treadmill, and he's putting in maximum physical effort. Then we have Sarah. Sarah spends 6 months applying intense, really smart, focused effort into building an automated online business. Now, during those first 6 months, Sarah might actually be pulling in less cash than Gary. Gary's getting those fat overtime checks, right? But the difference is Sarah isn't just building a paycheck, Sarah is building a system. Fast forward to 1 year later. Gary? He's exactly where he started. He's completely trapped in that salary loop. If he ever stops working his 12 hours, his income stops dead in its tracks. He is still just trading his time for money. But Sarah? Because of that upfront work she put into building a system and leveraging technology, she is now earning even while she's sleeping. Her system is doing all the heavy lifting. See, Gary maximized his effort, but Sarah maximized her results through smart work. And that brings us to the real climax of this explainer, the absolute ultimate goal of the wealthy mindset. It isn't just about buying fancy cars or massive houses. It's about something way, way more valuable.
And that is Section 5, buying back your time.
So the crucial point here is that working harder just increases your physical effort. You sweat more, you get exhausted, and you burn out way faster. But working smarter, that increases your results. Millionaires use the exact systems we've just outlined to literally buy back their own time. They completely detach their earning potential from their physical presence. They care way more about the results of the work than the sheer exhausting effort it takes to do it. To pull this off yourself, you have to be absolutely ruthless about where you focus your energy. Instead of going to a boss and begging for a few hours of overtime, the smart worker focuses relentlessly on accumulating assets that go up in value, investments that pay dividends, businesses that can easily scale, skills that are in super high demand, and technology that automates all the boring, mundane tasks. Think of this as the ultimate millionaire shopping list.
I really want you to let this sink in. Your goal isn't to work more hours. Your goal is to create more value. The richest people on the planet absolutely do not earn their wealth just because they work the hardest or sweat the most. No way. They earn because they built systems that work for them. They've shifted their entire mindset from being just another cog in a machine to becoming the actual architect of the machine itself.
And that leaves us with one final super important question for you to ponder as we wrap up this explainer today. What system will you build today so your future millionaire self will thank you? Remember, knowledge is only power if you actually act on it. So I highly encourage you to keep learning about financial freedom, keep analyzing these concepts, and most importantly, start creating your own systems today. Don't just work hard, work smart. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.